At this time, I would like to call to order the August 27, 2020 meeting of the Bristol Borough Board of Education Board of Directors. Would everyone please rise for the national anthem, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, 2 points. I would like to apologize to the public. We're a little bit late. We were meeting in executive session to discuss some legal and personnel issues. Okay. I would also at this time like to read the virtual announcement. This meeting will be conducted live, but in a virtual format via Zoom technology. As with the previous board meeting, the process is permissible under and consistent with applicable Pennsylvania School Code, the Sunshine Act, and the Bristol Borough School District policy provisions. Public access for participation in the meeting can be accomplished per instructions attached. And with that, Ms. Moyer, would you please do a roll call for the attendance?
Mr. Cullen. He's not connected. Mr. DeMarcus. Ms. Paglione. Mr. Poliafico.
Here.
Mr. Parolo? No. Mr. Poplawski?
Here.
Mr. Ruzin?
Here.
Mr. Ciccoletti? And Mr. D'Angelo?
Here. So we're waiting for Mr. Poplawski?
No, he answered, John.
Okay. All right, so we have 5 people. We do have quorum. That's correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, so at this time, I'd like to get a motion to approve the agenda with said addendum or table items. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ruzin. Can I get a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Poliafico. And Jen, I'll go right around the horn because we got 5. Mr. Poliafico.
Yes.
Mr. Parolo. Mr. Parolo. Mr. Poplawski.
Yes.
Mr. Ruzin.
Yes.
Mr. D'Angelo is a yes. Mr. Parolo.
John, I don't think he's on.
He's on. He's not just muted.
Mr. Parolo. How about we use technology? I apologize, but he's probably dialing in too. Al, you gotta unmute, buddy. Yeah, just unmute. You gotta, we approve the agenda. All right, let's see it. Mr. Parolo. Mr. Parolo. I don't see his name showing up.
It's under Rocco.
Oh, it's under Rocco.
Mm-hmm. Rocco Parolo.
Yeah, and he's muted, correct?
It's muted. Mhm. I can't unmute him. Al, if you can call in again.
What are you using Rocco's phone? Are you dialed in? I can hear you on my phone. Why don't you try calling me again? Did you do that?
Steve just came in, so. you can
Okay.
Last.
Okay, well, now that we got Mr. Cullen, we can allow Mr. Frola to deal with his technical issues. Steve, we need an aye or a nay on approving the agenda.
All right, I'm sorry about that. I've just been having so much trouble
No, that's
here.
okay.
Yeah, I'll second it. Yes.
No, it's a yay. It's the vote. You're voting yes. So that vote is 5-0. It passes. So let's move on to the reports. Dr. Minetti, you take over.
All right, thank you. So in our executive session, we discussed sports, and the board has come to the decision to allow sports to continue in the fall. We wouldn't start any football games until the end of September, because that's just when they're scheduled. And but there are certain stipulations that the board would like to put on that decision. One is following the PIAA regulations that there are no fans allowed at the games. So we need the public to be on board with that and understand that it's not an US rule, it's a PIAA rule, and it's a rule for the number of people that can be at an event right now. So we really want to support the kids and allow them to participate, but again, we have to make sure we follow these guidelines. We will have cameras installed at that point, so the games will be broadcast. So we will be able to, parents will be able to see the football games and the field hockey games, because we're going to switch those over to the football field. So the kids are going to be allowed to play. Now, if things should change, the board can change its decision at any time, given the circumstances in Bucks County. So please keep that in mind, that it's a provisional acceptance based on the numbers that we have right now, and that it could change, but we want our kids to have the opportunity to do something after school and participate. Student orientation is going to start on September 9th. There's information that's going to be posted on our website tomorrow morning for schedules for all 3 buildings and what that's going to look like. So if you could please refer to those schedules, because it's going to look a little different at each one of the grade levels. We're breaking the kids up by alphabetical order, by their last name, because having all the kids at one time, we don't want to see that happen. So for the elementary, there are going to be 3 different sessions based on last names. One will be on the 9th, one will be on the 10th, one will be on the 11th. And so you can refer to that schedule. And for the 7th grade and 8th grade, they will have a 2.5-hour block of time on either the 9th or the 10th based on their last names. And then the high school, we're actually going to run in an abbreviated schedule with 1/3 of the kids at any given time. So we'll have no more than 100 high school kids in the building at any given time to make sure that we're able to social distance. But we really want our students to have the opportunity to meet their teachers before they start virtual learning. We think it's just very important to build those connections, especially with elementary kids who may be coming in and be nervous and they might be new to the district. So we want everybody to be able to meet our fabulous teachers and at least have that experience going in to our virtual learning. Class schedules for elementary will be out by the end of next week. We're getting a lot of new faces coming in right now and new registrants, so we don't want to put the class list out and then have to keep revising them. So we're going to wait until next week and we'll post them outside the elementary school. We're working with 21st Century to have tutoring available after school. I know parents, we have a lot of working parents, and there may be some concerns just trying to get your kids caught up on work, or maybe you missed something and you need a little homework help for your kids. So we're going to work with the 21st Century in our grants to have tutors available after school and homework help. So we're in the process, and as we get that together, we will let you know. We're also working on written procedures and protocols that we can hand out before we go back live, so everybody kind of knows the checklists of things that we're going to be doing and how it's all going to be handled. So we are in the process of making that happen, and just want to let parents know. We're also on this agenda hiring part-time nurses to get extra coverage in our buildings for when we do go live or hybrid. We want to make sure that we have the staff available just to, triage any problems that we may have and do any kind of contact tracing that needs to be done. So the board has been very generous in allowing us to hire some part-time nurses this evening and to help us get these protocols written. We are working with the Academic Oversight Committee, the AOC, and the Grantee Library to provide hotspots for some of our organizations that are having children, and I know that there's some concern about Wi-Fi. So we are teaming up with them, and I would like to thank them for their generosity in helping us to procure some hotspots for our kids. We're also going to purchase some of them through the district as well. So please let us know if your family is in need. Students during our orientation will be receiving their Chromebooks. So when you go to the meet and greet with the elementary or the shortened orientation schedule for the middle school or high school, you will get your Chromebook, and you'll get any kind of materials that you need or that your child needs to begin the school year. If you have a Chromebook at home, we were able to image anything that needed to be done without returning them all to school. So what we did was, if we have a family of 3 and there's one Chromebook there, we've assigned it to one of the students, and the other 2 will get their own Chromebook. So that way every student will have a Chromebook in a one-to-one initiative. So all of those will be going out on those first couple days. Class schedules and times are on the website. We are going to be running, after our orientation days, just the regular schedules that were posted on the website earlier this week. So you can check those out. And I wanted to let the families know that we rent out space to the Bucks County Intermediate Unit. So they will be holding classes in our building starting September 9th. I believe there's about 70 kids who will be coming in. There may be a few Bristol Borough kids who happen to go to the IU, but they are students from all over Bucks County, and they have for years rented space in our buildings. So we have a contract with them, and their decision was to go back live because of the needs of their students and the contracts they have with the other school districts that are in the IU and the students that they serve. So they will be coming back. So just in case parents see any buses and wonder, well, why are their kids getting bused to the school and my kids aren't in the school? They're not Bristol Borough classrooms. They are IU classrooms that are just renting space in the building. So I just want to kind of clarify that in case there were any questions in the next couple of weeks. And that's what I have for this evening. But you have to unmute. There you go. I didn't mute you.
We're gonna have to move on now to public participation. I see that we do have some people from the public on. What I would ask you to do would be to just state your first name so that we can identify you. And I would ask that if you have a general question or something, that's fine. If you have a question that's more specific or regarding your particular child, I would just caution you that it might be better off that question, Dr. Minetti or Dr. Smith, or any of our staff would be glad to answer that offline. But for the interest of the child's, safety and confidentiality, we would ask maybe that you don't talk about anything too specific, especially if you have a child with an IEP or a 504. So with that, does anyone from the public wish to comment or have a question or concern?
Hi, my name is Portia. I have a question. I did miss the part about the orientation. Do we need to physically be there to join the orientation?
What grade level is your student?
First grade.
We're asking a parent to accompany the child to the orientation because with little kids and all that, it's going to be more organized where there's going to be spots in front of the tables for each one of the teachers, and then when a spot opens up, parent will go up the child and get the Chromebook and get their materials. So we're asking at the elementary level that a parent or somebody who, if a parent is working, if you can have an adult accompany your child, that would be great.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Portia. Anyone else have a question? Please
I
remember-
do.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I have 2 children at Snyder, 2nd and 3rd grade. My concern is, as a working parent, her father and I, what is the plan for the working parents attendance-wise and in all those mandatory things, the recording of lesson plans, everything?
We have 2 sessions available per day of live instruction. One is in the morning and one is in the afternoon. We're asking that parents have their children on one or the other. It's the same instruction that's going to happen twice during the day. So that way, I know I have a lot of parents who are working. If we can get them on one of those 2 live instructional days or instructional times during the day, that way they can have that interaction with the teacher. And it'll also allow the teacher to have a smaller group to work with. And then the rest of the day is asynchronous, which means that they can kind of do it at any time that's convenient for the parents. So that's what we're asking for the live instruction. Whatever the instruction that happens during the day will also be recorded, and parents will be able to access that at night in case there was anything that the child missed or they need any clarity. You will have that lesson in the teacher's Google Classroom.
Okay, does that answer your, Michelle, does that answer your question?
I was just concerned about the attendance. So if they miss the morning session, then they have to be on the afternoon session. I get home at 4:30. Is that when I sign them on and they go into the afternoon session?
No, the sessions are during the day because we're contractually, the 2 sessions are within the workday of the teachers. So those are the 2 sessions that we're asking the kids to go on live, either one or the other. But we can, if you want to contact the school and have a phone conversation with Ms. Rosado, we can work with you and the teacher that your children are assigned to, so we can, so they can understand that there's an issue and maybe they can help you work through it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Michelle, for your question. Anyone else have any questions? Again, we have a lot of parents, so I want to be diligent here. Is any parent out there, you may be muted. If you want to join us or have a question, please unmute and ask.
I have a question, John. This is Ann Wilkinson.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks, guys. So can I get clarification on the IU coming back into the building? At what point was the contract signed? Was it a multi-year contract that you're held to? Or did you sign a contract this year bringing in kids to the building all across Bucks County into Schneider-Garrity as part of the IU program? Where's the timing in that? Because there's a ton of kids in the borough who really need to be in the schools, whether it's just kids in learning support or kids who have parents at work. And so there are kids in the schools, they're just not our kids. How did that come about?
We've had a contract with the IU for multiple years before my time here. And they have rented classroom space within our buildings for many years. So there have been students in these classes. They are just simply renting space in the building. So the decision for them to bring their kids back didn't really have anything to do with our decision. They did it based on the fact that they are throughout Bucks County and the needs of the other school districts that they're serving and the students that they have. So it's not a decision of ours to have them come back. We're just simply renting the space to them and having those classes run.
And other districts are doing the same thing too.
Dr. Wilkinson, does that answer your question?
It's an answer. I'm going to think through if it answered the full question. I'll do a follow-up if I need to, but it's an answer.
Sure,
So
sure. We will have another public questions at the end of our meeting. So if you want clarity around it, and you know, as president of the IU board as well, these are contracts that we have all over the county, and you know, I can see where it might look like, well, wait a minute, what are we doing, or what are we? But we actually, in this case, the IU had actually, you know, many school districts all agreed to kind of fulfill their contract with the IU. And just in the last few days, some of them have really bailed out. And without getting into the politics around that, it's just something that we were kind of all in agreement. And as much as it may seem unfair, you know, the focus is on these students and these kids who, as you know, really do need to be back. And hopefully we can use this as a positive thing as we prepare to come back. And we're going to get some real, you know, people in the building, traffic flows, parents coming in, and you know, hopefully it works out and we can learn from it, and it will make our transition back to live class a lot easier. So again, if you think of a follow-up, we'll revisit public participation later. And
yeah, I actually did just think of a follow-up.
Anyone else?
Time to think, John. So I would just, I just as a follow-up, I would say, this again is Ann Wilkinson again. So in making the hard decisions that you're making, you have a group of kids in learning support who are in K through 6, who need these services the same as the IU needs these services, homegrown warriors in your backyard. As you make decisions moving forward and you roll out bringing kids back, consider that. I know the IU has kids. I mean, I agree. You don't have to convince me. I will stand up and cheer for the IU any moment of the day. But there's also warriors who are sticking around, who are having the same problem, and they're in the borough.
And I think every member of the board hears what you're saying, and I promise you that that's going to be, you know, one of our priorities. Okay, anyone else from the public?
This is Jesse Walker.
Hi, Jesse, how are you?
Good. I was just wondering if there's just a little summary of maybe some of the additional training teachers are getting for the online learning, or how they're preparing for it all. Be great to hear what's being planned for that, for the teachers to help with the students.
Sure. We have a book study that we're initiating this year. Kelly, do you have, I can't remember the name of the book off the top of my head.
That book is called The Distance Learning Playbook. It was recommended, and we're working with the IU, and we've ordered that for all the staff members to support in the virtual learning.
We have sessions that we're going to hold for the teachers on Google Classroom, because we do have quite a few new faces who haven't used Google Classroom before. a lot of our teachers after last spring are pretty good at it now. They learned a lot. So we're going to they have mentors as well, the new teachers who are coming in to do virtual learning. And then anything else that we can pick up in sessions with the teachers, we're going to have them collaborate just like they did in the past. If they were live in the buildings, they're going to have a cooperative time that they're going to use in order to make sure that their instruction is in sync and to share best practices with each other. So that's what we're going to master. And we do have a lot of teachers who became Google certified from the end of last year. That was a goal that I put out for them, that if they were interested in getting that Google certification, and we had quite a few teachers who went and got that Google certification as well. So we have teachers who are level 1 Google certified, who we're going to lean on to our new teachers and those who need a little more help with the Google technology. But beyond just technology and using that technology, we're sharing best practices with the teachers about how to keep students engaged when they're virtual. So I just sent out two little one-pagers for the teachers during the week about things to look for to keep student engagement high, and some protocols to use when doing online instruction. So it's kind of like an ongoing thing as we're finding materials and resources for the teachers. But we're going to have some sessions during those PD days as well. We're plotting all of those out as we go along.
Dr. Minetti, if I could add, after the spring closure, there were teachers who had asked us to purchase additional supports that support virtual learning, and we were able to do that. One of which was called CAMI, and it's a program that helps the teachers turn some of their materials into writable PDFs, which actually makes it easier for the kids to respond using the Google Classroom, responding to the work, obviously using your computers, as well as buying a program called Capstone, which we have, which is basically gives us access to an unlimited amount of books from K to 12 that the teachers would be able to utilize to support the process while we're virtual. And more things at the elementary level, but just overall.
Thank you, Ms. Rosato.
Cassie, does that answer your question?
I'm sorry, my screen keeps on freezing up. Kelly, I'm sorry. You said CAMI, and there was something else you said, a program?
I said CAMI, which is going to be used K to 12, Capstone, which is an online book room with unlimited amount of titles that will be used by both the teachers and the students. And then there are some other programs at the elementary level that we purchased to allow teachers to utilize while we're doing distance learning. Reading A to Z was one of them. Storyworks was another one. Actually, we were ironing out all the PDs for these today. We were working on this. Mystery Science is a program we had used in the past, but it has a virtual aspect to it. Our textbooks have virtual access as well. So we're really trying to mirror what it would be if the students were in front of us, and the programs and materials we had used, but in a digital version at this point. And we purchased quite a few things to be able to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else from the public? Anyone else of the public that called in has a question or concern? Okay. Okay, I didn't hear anybody, so what we're going to do is move on and close public participation, round one. And for the sake of expediency tonight, being that we're short and we may be having some technical issues, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the actual motion. I would ask that one of the board members agree to make the motion, and one of you second it, and then I'll do the roll call vote. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah,
Mr.
I'm
Truman?
fine with that. Hey, John, will you second? John, will you second it because my screen keeps on locking up and I'm getting like half of the conversation, but would you mind
Okay.
second?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you, Mr. Rusin. And we're okay doing that, Mr. Truelove?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. So for item 5, under routine monthly business, A, to approve the minutes of the July 16th and the August 6th meeting. B, approve the list of bills for the July and August 2020. And item C, approve the treasurer's report for June and July 2020. Would you make that motion, Mr. Cullen?
Unmute, Steve.
Steve, you got to unmute.
Yes.
Motion by Mr. Cullen, second.
Second.
Mr. Rusin, thank you. And I'll do the roll call. Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafico,
Yes.
Mr. Parolo,
Still
Mr.
muted.
Poplowski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
and Mr. D'Angelo is a yes. Mr. Parolo? I hear something, but we'll count that as the motion passes 5-0.
John, did you get Mary Jane?
Mary Jane's not here.
Oh,
He had
okay.
to leave. Okay, under item 6, under new business. Item A, approved to adopt the attached policy 103, discrimination/Title IX sexual harassment affecting students. Mr. Cullen, would you make that motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion. Yes.
Cullen makes the motion. Mr. Rusin?
Second.
Mr. Rusin seconds that motion. Any questions or concerns on this motion? With that, I'll do the roll call vote. Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafico,
Yes.
Mr. Parolo, Mr. Poplowski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
and Mr. D'Angelo is a yes. That motion carries 5-0. Item B, approved to adopt the attached policy 104, discrimination/Title IX sexual harassment affecting staff. Mr. Cullen, would you make that motion?
Yes, I would. Yes.
Mr. Rubin, would you second?
Second. Yep, second.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafico,
Yes.
Mr. Parolo, Mr. Poplowski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
and Mr. D'Angelo is a yes. That motion carries 5-0. Item C. The motion would be to approve the attached 21st Century Community Learning Grant, Cohort 9, Years 4, 5, and 6, agreement between Bucks County Intermediate Unit Number 22 and the Bristol Borough School District, effective October 1, 2020 through September 30th, 2023. Colin, would you make that motion?
Yes, I'd like to make the motion.
Motion made by Mr. Cullen. Mr. Rusin, would you second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns about this? Okay, we'll do the roll call. Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafico,
Yes.
Mr. Parolo, Mr. Poplowski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
and Mr. D'Angelo is a yes. That motion will carry 5-0. Item D. The motion would be to approve the attached memorandum of understanding between the Bristol Borough School District and the Head Start Grantee / pre-K provider / private agency. That's the motion. Would you make that motion, Mr. Cullen?
Yes, I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you. Mr. Rusin, would you make a
I'll-
second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns?
Is this the agency that we had last year? Or is this a new agency coming in? It's a private agency, so,
Dr. Minetti?
This is the IU.
oh, this is the IU? Okay, that's fine.
This is their preschool and Head Start programs that they run through the IU.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, here's the roll call. Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafico,
Yes.
Mr. Parolo, Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
and Mr. D'Angelo is a yes, and that motion carries 5-0-0. Item E, approve the attached list of district salaries for the 2020-2021 fiscal year as required by the Pennsylvania Department of Education. To make that motion, Mr. Collins.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion.
Mr.
I'll
Rusin,
second
would you
it.
second?
Yep.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns? Okay, let's do the roll call. Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafico,
Yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Parolo, Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
Mr. D'Angelo is a yes, and that motion carries 5-0-0. Okay, on the item F, approve the Title I school-wide comprehensive plan. Cullen, would you make that motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Cullen. Mr. Rusin, would you second?
Yes, I will.
Second by Mr. Rusin. Any questions or concerns?
Yeah, what is that? What is that comprehensive plan? What's that involve?
Our elementary school is a school-wide Title I school. So every year we have to write a plan of how we're going to spend the Title I funds for the school. So normally we would just submit the plan and it's due September 1st. This year they're requiring a board motion in order to back up the plan. We have to submit that as well as the plan. So if you're interested in going through it, Kelly is doing the Title I planning. If there's any questions that you have on it, you can certainly contact her.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rusin. And any other questions? Okay, let's do the roll call. Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafico,
Yes.
Mr. Parolo, Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
Mr. D'Angelo is a yes. That motion carries 5-0-0. Moving on to section 7, under personnel. Item A, approve the appointment of 4 part-time nurses at $30 per hour, no benefits as per the master agreement, effective the 2021 school year. Those names would be Alexa Ciccoletti, Katie Costello, Teresa Lawless, and Caitlin Zecca.
I make a motion. Yes.
Mr. Cullen, thank you for the motion. Mr. Rusin?
Yeah, second for me.
Okay, and any questions or concerns regarding this?
Yeah, here we go with me. Do these start with the regular school year, or they starting when we have in-class learning? I mean, do they start like when we start virtual, or do they start when we start back to school?
They'll start when we start back to school.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
We may have them come in a couple days beforehand, just to do an orientation and to get those kind of things together, but we won't need extra nurses until the kids are live.
Okay, I think it's a good thing to start them anyhow, because we'll probably need them.
Yeah, I also agree. When we get them in for an orientation, they know the buildings, they know the classes, they know which kids are moving, they know, familiarize them with St. Mark's. So, and it looks like we've got 4 now, and it's a good flexible schedule. So at any given time, that we're always going to have coverage in addition to our 2 employee nurses. So with that, Mr. Collins, would you make that motion?
We did
Yes.
that already.
Okay, you
Roll
did.
call.
Let's do the, I apologize. Let's do the roll call. Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafco,
Yes.
Mr. Parolo, Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
and Mr. D'Angelo is a yes. That motion carries 5-0-0. Item B, approve and accept the resignation of the following teachers effective immediately: Tiffany Morosi and Diane Place.
I'd like to make a motion, yes.
Mr. Cullen,
I'll
second.
second it.
Second by Mr. Rusin. Any questions or concerns? Do a roll call vote. Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafco,
Yes.
Mr. Parolo, Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
and Mr. D'Angelo is a yes. That motion carries 5-0-0. Item C, approve the appointment of Kristin Malloy as elementary teacher, salary, master's, step 1, and benefits as per the master agreement, effective the 2020-2021 school year. Mr. Cullen, make that
I'd like to make a motion. Yes, I'd like to make a motion, yes.
I'll second it.
Mr. Rusin, second. Thank you. Any questions or concerns? Do a roll call vote. Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafco,
Yes.
Mr. Parolo, Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
Mr. D'Angelo is a yes. That motion carries 5-0-0. Item D, approve the appointment of Melissa Mahler as elementary teacher, salary, master's, step 1, and benefits as per the master agreement, effective the 2020-2021 school year. Make that motion, Mr. Cullen?
Yes, I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Rusin, thank you. Any questions or concerns? Okay, let's do the roll call. Mr. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Poliafco,
Yes.
Mr. Parolo, Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Rusin,
Yes.
and Mr. D'Angelo is a yes. It's 5-0. That motion carries. Item E, approve the submission of the flexible instruction day application to the Pennsylvania Department of Education for the 2020, 2021, 2021-22 and 2022-23 school year. Mr. Cullen? would you
Yes,
make
I'd like
that
to make a motion. I'd like to make that motion, yes.
Mr. Rusin?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Rusin. Any questions or concerns?
I just want to say that I think that's a wonderful idea, is to keep the flow going, and should there be any kind of weather disaster that we have to deal with, and so the kids don't miss any school. So I think it's a wonderful idea, and I thank you for going along with it.
Just
agree.
so the public knows, flexible instructional days, there'll be the application and the narratives I'll put on the website for your review. They will allow us, if there's a weather emergency, to do virtual learning. I know we're doing virtual learning now, but under normal circumstances, instead of losing those instructional days, we can do them virtually. So that allows us 5 per year, and it's a 3-year application. So that's what flexible instructional days are. They're virtual days during any kind of emergency where we would have to close the building.
Thanks, Dr. Minetti. So let's do the roll call. Mr. Cullen.
Unmute, Steve.
Yeah, I'm
Mr.
just
Cullen.
a little slow today. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Poliafico.
Yes.
Mr. Parolo. Mr. Poplawski.
Yes.
Mr. Rusin.
Yes.
And Mr. D'Angelo is a yes. That motion carries 5-0-0. Okay, so let's open it up again one more time. We're squeezing public participation. Anyone from the public that has a question maybe about something that we voted on or something that maybe they had missed earlier on? Anyone from the public would like to ask a question, please state your name. I'm going to take that as a no. And I'm
Did you
gonna
ask for
close
public
the second round.
participation?
Yes, I did, yes.
Just a quick question. The 4 nurses that were hired part-time, they're all certified RNs?
I'm going to have to look and see. I believe they all are.
Okay.
But I could check. If you want to give the office a call on Monday.
Sure.
Okay.
Rose, they're not certified RNs. They're certified like LPNs. Some are certified RNs, but that wasn't, it's like they're certified nurses, but not RNs.
Okay, thank you.
Right, and we can just make, again, if you want to call in to see which ones, we can make that public. And, they are all LPNs and RNs are both allowed to work in school districts, I believe. Is that correct, Dr. Minetti?
Yes. And they'll be under the direction of our nurses who are in the buildings.
And our nurses are both RNs, correct?
I believe one is actually a nurse practitioner as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or concerns from the public?
I guess I have one more question then. Will any of the support staff be returning back with the IU unit that works for actually the Borough School District instead of Bucks County IU?
Our aides are work with our teachers. I'm not sure exactly.
Well, beyond that, the people you have letting people in the building, your janitors, things along those lines, like anybody other than your teachers. Because I know when the teachers come in to do their virtual, they'll be alone.
Mm-hmm.
But is anyone else coming in like to let people into the building? Take care of things like that.
Yes, we will have people at the doors because we will have some, the DIU students who are coming in. There may be some parents or things that they're going to be meeting. So we will have people at the doors, and all of our staff will be returning in some capacity or another, but they may not all be in the buildings.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, just excuse me, could I ask who was posing the question?
That was Stacy Dragon.
Okay, thanks, Stacy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Okay, anybody else from the public? Okay, so with that, go ahead.
It's Maria Ciccoletti. Where will you be able to watch the games at? On the school's channel?
I believe that it's a streaming, you know, it's kind of like you have to get an IP address to stream the games. Now,
So
I'm
you'd have
not
to watch it
saying
on a
that we
computer and log in
can't,
like
and
this.
between now and then, that we can't, yes, but we're also exploring the option of maybe not doing it live, but putting it on our TV channel at a later date. But right now, I believe Mike Pops, maybe you can answer that question better than me. Okay, I just got a text from Mr. Lally who's saying they're still trying to get that done, but right now, Mr. Coletti, it's going to be a streaming. So, you know, that's where we're at right now. But remember, this is the first early on. We're getting everything set up. We're working on it, and we want to be able to let our whole town see our kids play. So
right,
I
thank
promise
you.
you that's not something that we're going to, you know, we're going to drop the ball
All right, thank you.
on. Mike Pops. Okay, he must have dropped off. Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question. My name is
Okay.
Kelly.
Hi,
Hello.
Kelly, go ahead.
Hi. So
Yes.
are the instructional days Monday through Friday? Is the schedule consistent? Or is like Friday a makeup day, or is there any chance for like relearning on Fridays? I know other districts are doing that in the area.
The schedule is posted on our website if you want to take a look at it. Monday through Thursday are going to be 2 sessions each, and then Friday will be 1. Week 1 it'll be in the morning, week 2 it'll be in the afternoon, and teachers will have a half day to reach out to individual students or do any kind of small groups or things that they need to work on with students.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Anyone else have a question?
Yes, this is Wanda. Hi, Ms. D'Angelo, Ms. Manini, and Ms. Rosado. I am a elementary aide in an elementary school, and I wanted to know, where does that leave me as an employee, and will we be, if we're going to be doing virtual, will I still be with my teacher, with the students? Where will I be come September 9th? What are we doing with the aides?
Thank you, Wanda. Dr. Minetti?
Wanda, we're going to be reaching out to all of the aides. You're still going to be working with the teachers in the classrooms. So
Starting September 9th, when school goes back, or you mean when we go back? When we go back in person.
And when we go back in the 9th. So we'll be reaching out to everybody to have a meeting with all of the aides as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Happy birthday, Wanda.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for your question. Any other questions? Okay, at this time, I'd like to, Chris McHugh, would you like to just give a brief summary to the public of what we're working on with the bond refinancing?
Sure, John. So back in 2016, the district refinanced our bonds, and they were split between 2, Series A and Series B. One was for about $15 million. One of them was about $10 million. So the $10 million one is now callable in 2021, so we have the ability to refinance it. So me, Mr. D'Angelo, Mr. Truelove, and Ms. Minetti accepted a meeting with Delaware Valley Trust to see, for them to give us a presentation on a possible savings by refinancing due to interest rate swaps. So we're hoping next meeting that we can invite them to the public meeting so they can give a presentation to the board and the public about what kind of savings the district can realize by doing this interest rate swap.
Okay, and you know, right now, you know, if things go as we expect, we're looking to a significant savings to the school district over the next 10 years. So, Chris has put a lot of work into this. Starting back when we built Snyder Girardi Elementary, we set the motion in wheels in motion. And so we would hope that at our next meeting, which is on Thursday, September 10th, that we could have Mr. Jeffrey Calhoun, and he's from the Delaware Valley Refinance Authority, right? And he will come in and give a short presentation on the numbers, and hopefully we can do that deal. And it's going to put the school district on some good financial footing for the next 10 years. So I'd like to say, Dr. Minetti and Mr. McHugh, great job on this, and we would hope that the public would want to come. So if you want to mark that date on the calendar, on our next meeting, it'll be a short presentation. It's really not that long, but if anybody had any questions or concerns, we'll be having him in that night. Okay, so with that, let's go around the horn. Mr. Cullen, you have anything?
Yes, I just want to thank the administration and the teachers and the support staff for all the hard work they're doing to get our school district back and running. All the things that are going on. I think they're doing a fantastic job, and I just want to thank them for all their hard work. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Cullen, thank you. Mr. Poliafco.
Nothing.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Parolo, one last time, we're going to send out a team to look for you. You dropped off, and we're hoping you're okay. Mr. Poplowski. I believe Mr. Poplowski may have dropped off, experiencing some technical difficulties. Mr. Ruza.
Yeah, I got a couple things here. The cameras over at the school, are they all operational, or are they? I understand there was a couple of them that's out of service. Is that correct? And what's the plan on getting them back into service?
Paul, I'm going to turn that over to you if you're there.
There are a couple that are out. There's basically one over at the high school that we're going to have to replace totally. And then there's 3 at the elementary school that we already have the cameras for. We just have to run new wiring for them.
Oh, okay. All right. Another thing too, I don't know if it's our responsibility. I don't know if it's on our property line over the elementary school, but boy, the trees along the fence line are in terrible shape. And in fact, one of them is ready to fall over. I don't know if anybody wants to take a look at that and see what, that fence, I don't think that's a true fence line as far as our property that we're responsible for. But boy, it's in bad shape over there. And another thing too, that bond, the bonds that we're going to refinance or get the interest rate adjusted, is there a time frame on that, John, that we have to get that done by a specific time, or is that?
Well, no. Here's the way it works. Right now, he simulates our savings if we were to lock into it now. And we could wait till September. Anytime you wait, what you're subject yourself to is interest rate risk. If interest rates go higher, we would get less money. As Mr. Trudeau pointed out, the Federal Reserve said that there are no intentions of raising rates. Now, if they go lower, which they could a little bit lower, we would spend a little more. The issue is that they can't go much lower. So the decision by us is, if we're comfortable with the plan if we're comfortable that it's a good deal for the district, to go ahead and vote on it. And the minute we vote on it, then we give him the go-ahead, and he would tell us that day, this is what the numbers are, because he locked into that rate. So, it's not that we have a gun to our head. One of the other options that we had was for far less money, and it was contingent that we wait until next June. So my point would be, why would we wait, if we can lock into this rate now? And as I explained to you, it may sound complicated, but it's really essentially just kind of, if you had a mortgage at 6%, and now a bank said you could get a mortgage at 3%, you pay that one off and with the money, and you get it at 3%. And really what we're doing is using the low interest rate environment to reduce our interest expense over the next 10 years. So again, you can ask Mr. Calhoun some questions, and we get a chance to let the public see what we're doing.
Well, in my opinion, if the four of you
Anything
guys
else?
are, if you're comfortable with it, I'm fine with it.
Okay, well, listen, everybody's got to do due diligence, right? So we've done it, and we're going to do it again, and we're going to let the public see, and then we'll squeeze the trigger on the deal and look forward to the savings. And again, so you have any other questions or concerns?
I want to just tell you that I think it's a great idea to have the spokesman for the bond fund company come over and make a presentation so that the public knows exactly what's going on. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, the only thing I have is, tonight we've done a lot of work, and one of the things that we did is we gave the okay for our sports teams to play. I know we have some of our coaches, and I know our kids are going to be excited. And I just want to temper that announcement with the fact that right now things seem to be looking good. Our kids are practicing. Other teams are playing. We have games on the schedule, but there are a lot of things that still could go wrong. And so I just hope that our athletes and our coaches, we plan to get our athletic director, Mr. Malloy, to kind of meet with the coaches, and they can pass it on to the kids. We're going to follow all the protocols that we have to follow, and just know that with a little luck, we can have a great season. We can all be back in school. This is just one piece of the puzzle. But I just want our kids and our parents and our staff and our coaches to understand that some things will be beyond our control. And so we're trying to do our best to extend this opportunity, and hopefully it works out for the good. So I hope everybody will keep their fingers crossed, and I hope our football team and our field hockey team and our cross country team is diligent with their social distancing, and they're diligent in their practice. And I look forward to being able to watch them play. So with that, Mr. Truelove, anything you'd like to add?
I've enjoyed working with the board for 6 months here, and looking forward to working on the refinance issue. My only request is, now I've been here for 6 months, everybody's calling me Mr. Truelove. You could call me by my first name. I'm fine with that, like everybody else. So, but
okay, Dave. Well taken. And so,
hey, John.
Yes.
I do have two more questions. I'm sorry. I just I thought about them in a minute. How's the storage shed? How's that all coming along? I guess Chris is out there. I saw Al come back for a minute, but
yeah, I did see Al. I don't see him now.
Yeah, but I want to see Chris. Any update on the storage shed? How it looks and how's it done? Or
so the concrete.
Chris, we lost you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
The concrete has been poured.
Good.
for the shed. So it's all pretty much up and ready to go.
Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to ask was about the boilers and stuff. How's that project coming along?
So I think that's about 95% finished. I know John Donnelly's been over there just finishing up a couple last things, but there should be no issues with regard to the school year.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for the hard work on that too.
Yeah.
I have a question as far as the finances on the shed. Do we have any numbers, final numbers or close to final numbers on the total cost of the shed?
So with GB Crete, which was Gabe Barracol, we spent $15,235, but that wasn't all for the shed because he did other concrete work for us around some of our walkways, and I know he poured concrete in our garage, which needed it. So, I mean, if you want to estimate it, that maybe 10,000 of it was the shed, and the other 5 was the remaining part. We spent $3,000 from R&S General Contractors for material to lay the concrete. We spent $31,020 on the building. We spent $12,788 with Dumac, and then we spent an additional $2,060 with Gilmore, and that was for the engineering side of it. And we spent about $1,500 in material since March with CBM. So the total's roughly about $65,000, Jeff.
Okay.
But Chris, but that's
to my knowledge. Sorry, John.
No, go ahead.
From what I can see, there's still some work to be done and some more expenses that need to be done out there. I understand that concrete was partially donated and labor was supposed to be donated. Now I see we need gutters. Looks like gates and fence. So has that been figured in yet, or?
That's not, Jeff. That's just what we've currently spent as of today.
That's a total of $65,000.
Yes, as of today. Yep, since the beginning of the project.
All right, and we're still looking at electric, and some, like I said, gutters and downspouts and fencing and gating.
Correct.
And cameras.
And cameras and lighting, I imagine. Okay.
But Jeff, some of that stuff I think our people can do, electrical work and gutters and that kind of stuff. I mean, I know there's still an expense to it, but I'm sure we'll have a nice saving by having our people do it.
And gutters are pretty. The gutters are pretty extensive as far as what it looks. I mean, because they have gutters coming up out of the concrete. They got gutter pipes. But it's only on one side of the building, and on the other side of the building, you're going to need gutters or something to get over the other side if you have to do it that way, or funnel them in the opposite direction. But it's actually starting to tear up the concrete right now on the railroad side of the building from the water dripping over the building with not having gutters on it right now, and but. Something that we got to look at. Don't want to ruin the concrete now.
Yeah, I know George and Al have already they've already spoken, and I know they've reached out to a couple people to get a quote to see what it would cost to put gutters on it. They're aware of the problem.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Well, one more thing concerning, just jog my memory there a little bit. Regarding the property out back behind the parking lot of the elementary school, I think, just my opinion, but I think the best way to do it along that fence line there is to maybe reach out to Sally at the Borough Hall or Mr. Dillon and see if they could give us a plot site, sort of a plan, so we know what property, how far that property is of ours, if it is ours, or if it's the borough property, because those trees are, there's a pole that's leaning. It's got the communication wires on it. That looks like it's on the Grundy Tower property, and then our fence is torn down if it's our fence. But something needs to be done. It's unsightly and it's unsafe. Definitely unsafe out there. So if someone could reach out to Sally or Mr. Dillon at Borough Hall, maybe they can help us with a site plan.
Yeah, Jeff. So Merle Winslow and Mr. Dillon have been in touch with me and Paul. So they're going to have, I think, Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, Comcast is supposed to do repair work there because it's their wires. They initially thought it was ours, but Paul told them our wires are underground, so it can't be ours. So I'm under the assumption that they're supposed to relocate those wires and in doing so, remove some of the trees.
Yeah, last email that I received was stating Comcast was going to do work on the poles and go from there.
Yeah.
Some of those properties owners, homeowners, does our property back up to some of the homes there where those fences are?
That's where the fence divides.
There's a space between where our fence is and then where the beginning of some of the properties. The end property comes all the way down to up against our corner property. But there's a lot of vacant space in the back that I assumed was borough property, but I'm told also that it could be ours. So
that used to be the canal, Steve. That used to be the canal back there. So there's that pathway going back there, but I don't know how far back ours go and where the canal takes over, and then there's the housing's on the other side of that.
Yeah,
if you take a look back there, I'm sorry. If you take a look back there, there's some of the work, some trees have been taken down, the ones that were really bad, but there's another widowmaker back there that could do some serious damage if kids or anybody walking around back there. I think it would be really smart to reach out to the borough and let's get some final answers on who's exactly responsible for that area and our fencing, if it's our fence. I'm good.
That's true. It's really confusing back there. You got properties, you got the canal. You're right, John. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there. You might be right, Jeff. We probably should find out who owns all that property back there. But we definitely, somebody has to clean it up. It does look bad. The fence is broken, trees are down. A lot of stuff back there.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody? Steve, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, so again, our next meeting will be on Thursday, September 10th, 2020. And with that, could I get someone to make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I'd like to make a
I'll
motion.
make a motion. Oh.
Okay, Jeff, you got it. Yeah, you got it.
Motion.
Mr. Powell,
adjourn.
good, thank you. Second? Second by everybody.
Second by everybody.
Thank you for joining, and we'll see you on September 10th. Thank you.